Well, let's get this show on the road. This is a wooden drawer from an old cabinet that was broken and discarded a long time ago. But I kept this little drawer, and I thought the other day that it would make a great little diorama assemblage kind of a piece. So I'm just painting the outside in that kind of a marshmallow kind of a color, just craft paint. And the inside is getting a coat of burnt umber, just for kind of like the lining. Look at me go. There I go. That's the fun part, right? I won't make you watch it dry. I promise. We won't watch paint dry today. We'll just watch me paint it, apparently forever here. And I'm done. Okay. So then I get out my air dry clay and I just get out a tiny, tiny little piece. Well, a couple of them actually. And I form two little teeny tiny like bird eggs. And it takes me a minute. I actually cut a lot of this out and sped it up. But it takes a long time to get just the right shape. So, and I had to make two of them, and they had to be kind of similar. So, I made two of them. There we go. Look at me, trying to smooth it out and get my fingerprints out of it. So there's my two little bird eggs, and I am painting them with that same marshmallowy color that I painted the outside of the box with. Just giving it a quick little coat. The clay is white anyway, but I'm just giving it a quick coat. And then I'm going to take just that same brown paint and a brush, and I'm just flicking some little brown speckles on it, for bird eggs. And then you do not want to watch me do all this. So I cut all this out. I was fussy cutting these birds out. But, I won't make you watch me do that. So after the paint was all dried, I got out my sandpaper and I started sanding on the box just to get it roughed up and not quite so pristine looking. And at this point you're thinking, oh, my arms are going to fall off. So I end up getting a bigger block of, there it is, the bigger block of sandpaper that's a little bit easier to use, just so I can get some of this paint off and make some scratches in the paint. And then I take that smoother sandpaper and I go over it again to kind of smooth it out a little bit. And here I go with some, this is actually a glaze made by Folk Art. It's just a brown glaze, one of their, it's over in the paint department with the rest of the craft paint, but it's a brown glaze. And so I went over all the paint to dirty it up a little bit and add some dimension to those scratches and kind of make the paint look not so white, not so clean, but a little bit more worn. Yeah. And now I'm getting out some paper because I want a background piece at the back of this box. And I choose that one, so I put everything else away. So there I am. And I have some title pages from some books that were printed in the 1850s, and they are about detecting counterfeit things. So that'll give you a clue here in a minute. And then I've got all these little quotes that I took quotes from the books, the counterfeit detecting books, and also some of my novel quotes. And I'm taking this little wren's nest that I found. It fell out of a tree, so just can't leave it sitting around, right? I have this thing about bird nests anyway. If I see one, unless they're like filthy or something, I usually, even if they're filthy, sometimes I bring them home. I just leave them outside, as like decoration on the porch or something. So I'm weaving all of these quotes into the nest, and the quotes are all about imitation and counterfeit and fraud. Yeah. And here is this little glass vial, and I'm rolling up one of the novel quotes and I'm placing it inside the vial. It takes me a couple of times because it couldn't get it to sit right. And it's reducing her to fresh tears, it's what it's called. And I'm putting the eggs inside the vial. And here, before I put this one in, I am drawing like a little crack on the egg as if it was hatching. And then it will also go in the vial. And the eggs were kind of rolling around a little bit too much. So I go and I get a little piece of like sphagnum moss and I kind of shove that down in there. I put the lid on and I glued it, and I don't know what happened, but I glued that lid on with a little, like a, an eye hook on the top. And then I put the little chain with the lock around the edge. And here I obviously am gluing these title pages down to that background piece of paper. And it's just scrapbook paper. I don't remember where I got it. Couldn't even tell you. And those are the birds. Those are the birds. They're going to come here in a minute. So there goes the background paper. Boom. There it is. There is a little check. And the check is going to get glued onto the bottom and kind of wrapped around a little bit just because, I didn't want it all straight and everything. I just kind of want it wrapped around the edge. And then I use my bone folder to kind of make sure it's all placed in there. And then our nest goes in. I had to glue that little piece. It just didn't want to stay for some reason. So there it goes. And then I take some glue and I'm just putting a little bit on it just so it will secure it, so it won't be, flopping around in there. And there is a little hand. I'll be using that in a minute, but I just, wanted to show that to you. There's an open little eye hook that I screw that into the top, and that is what that little glass vial, that's what I'm checking there. That's what it's going to be hanging from. And then the camera stopped and I missed some, so I added feet, by the way. That's what I was showing you. I added feet. And then I went outside and I clipped some branches off my aspen trees, and I'm fitting those branches in there because I kind of want them to be, kind of flowing out the front. And then I take my ink again. And what I've done is I have printed out some plates, and they're from a British bird book, and it's plates showing the different kinds of eggs, but then I stamped fraud and counterfeit on those, even though those are the real eggs. I stamped counterfeit and fraud. So one goes on that side behind the nest, and then this one will go on the opposite side as like a little poster on the inside of our little diorama box. And that is a little part of that book that says Detecting Counterfeit. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do here. So I'm just kind of, moving stuff around, kind of like what I did with that other mixed media piece that I did. So I put that in there. And here are some pretty little beads, and I leave because I needed some hot glue. But the beads go in the nest. And this is where I put the birds in. I put little L brackets, paper L brackets on the back of them, because I wanted them to be 3D, to stand out from the back. I didn't want them to be flat against the back. And there's a little tag that says genuine. And I'll show you better later, but on that bottle, there's a little field notes, like a label, like a specimen label, and it says what the eggs are from, that they're real, but they're locked up. They're locked up in the vial, and they've been replaced with the beads in the nest. And here I took another branch, and I'm wrapping some bandages around the branch. One of the little limbs got broken off, and so I hot glued it back on purpose. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll talk about the meaning of all this here in a minute. If you're sitting here going, what is this? This is so weird. There's a method to my madness, or there's a madness to my method, whatever that is. But this little branch is being bandaged and glued back together. And I'm going to be gluing that to the top of our little diorama box, just because I don't want the box just to be, a box. So I am finishing up here, and then I will show you some photographs of what I have done. Here's a bird's eye view of the box. You can see pretty much everything from here. The little nest and the birds. And here's one side. You can definitely see the little egg poster, the plate with the fraud and counterfeit stamped on that right above the nest. Here is that nest, and you can see the little silver hand, and the silver hand has replaced the eggs with these shiny plastic beads. No soul, no life, just plastic beads. And here is a picture of that bottle that I promised with the field label, and they are labeled that they are genuine eggs from a barn swallow, but they're all locked up. Here is the other side where you can see the other poster with the counterfeit and the fraud stamps on there. And I put the birds in there because the birds know what is going on. They recognize that the eggs are gone and the eggs have been replaced with something shiny. There's more of them. There's 3 beads as opposed to 2 eggs. But they know that they're not real. They know that they are imposters. And you'll probably notice that I put some little plastic leaves on the branches, and everything that is real, that was living in this piece, it's either dead or dying. And so the real leaves have been replaced by plastic leaves. There's a little metal squirrel back there right in the middle on the branch, and he's not real either. The branch on top of the box is bandaged and taped and glued back together. And I guess my thought process for this piece was how it just seems like all the things that should be real aren't real anymore. It's like our food isn't even real anymore. It's more and more full of chemicals, and just fake. Everything's fake. Color in our food and color in all kinds of things is just fake. So I guess that was my thought process for this. It might be a little dark for some people, and I apologize for that. If this disturbs you, I am sorry. I put the check on the bottom because it just seems like underneath it all, it's money. It's the almighty dollar that drives people to do what they do sometimes, and replace the real, because sometimes the real is too expensive to produce. It's too expensive. It's too much trouble. And so it's replaced with fake stuff, imposters. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the process of that twisted little assemblage that came together today. And maybe you took something else out of it, which is totally cool. And if you did, or if you have any thoughts or comments, even if you didn't like it, that is totally cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Put them in the comment section below and let me know what you think. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me today. And I'll have something fun and lighthearted next time. How's that? All right, guys, see you in the next video.